Hi, everyone. This is Life and Vibe, otherwise known as Ray. And today, I think that our friend Sarasota Tim may have told on himself a little bit about what type of Social Security benefit he has received this month. I did get a message through the comment section from a member of the community. They know who they are. Thank you so much, because they kind of tipped me off to this. And we've always had this question about how Tim was able to receive over $1,800 a month in Social Security to supplement his YouTube side hustle in order to retire early at the age of 62. His whole entire brand has been built on the premise of retiring early at 62 and having prepared yourself for this wonderful early retirement. In fact, the video that he has today talks about retirement. What a life! That is the title of today's video. And so we're going to take it from the moment where he starts to talk about the check that he received today. Now, one thing, we're going to take a look at everything. Now, I just want to preface, I am a registered nurse here in the United States, but I am not an expert on Social Security. So let me know in the chat down below, what date are you receiving your Social Security check? Because I do believe, from what I'm reading and what I'm understanding, there has been some significant changes to the Social Security calendar for May of 2026. And then I'm going to let this part play from Tim. Anybody who's been following his channel knows that he always claims he gets around $1,800 a month in Social Security. And we've always been kind of confused around the dates. And so I think today he may have given his game away. And I doubt he reaches any of the other requirements as to why he would be getting it on this date, other than for this specific reason. So stick with me if you want to see all of what I am investigating, and make sure to follow along. We're actually going to play him at normal speed just because I want you to hear what he says clearly.
To walk up on one and ride the bike up on the other. Not ride it, but I mean the ramp before the ramp. And I'm trying to get my step ramp off my tailgate here to be more like this, so I can feel confident getting it up in the back of the truck.
Yeah, okay.
And then when I do, where am I going? Nowhere yet. But just as soon as it starts getting nice and toasty and crispy, I'm out of here, baby. For a while anyway.
Well, Tim has a lot going on. If you have been following the community, he is obviously ordered to come to court with me. I'm the plaintiff. He's the defendant on August the 13th in Virginia Beach. He also has recently had some things come up with another creator, crushing it in Florida, and has had some interesting issues around copyright. We're going to be doing some reacts around that. So I have some way to be able to kind of explain this to everybody. So I look forward to that. And yeah, so it's been a lot going on. And so it's interesting to hear Tim talking about the ramp that supposedly some 80-year-old gentleman is lending to him.
I'm going to go somewhere. But right now, like I said, the good Lord, I'm not antsy. I got to go. I got to be somewhere else. I got to go 3,000 miles from here. I did all that. I spent a lot of money in the last few years going across this country a few times. So not that I don't want to, but I'm being a little more cautious with these economic times and the inflation. I was looking at my bank account this morning. I was like, what happened? Not in a bad way. I was like, where'd I get this money? Social Security, baby. Social Security, that free check.
Okay, that free check that Tim loves to talk about, that Social Security check. I'm going to let him keep on talking, but then we're going to take a look at the date of this, because these dates and today, and Tim is very good at vlogging and posting on the day because he likes to get out lots of videos. It's the start of the month. He wants to kick it off with a bang. We'll be getting lots of real human videos, which, YouTube's algorithm is going to like, since it's got all sorts of other stuff going on. All right, take it away, Timmy.
The bank, I forget about it, and boom, right at the right timing, after I just paid, those bills you got to pay, cell phone, utilities, your rent, and food and gas.
You got something falling out there. That's dangerous while you're driving. Maybe you shouldn't be messing with stuff like that, or putting correspondence in the sun visor, Tim. But it's important to know all of the things that he's mentioning, because I think just alone the RV park lot costs alone could potentially outstrip what Social Security is sending to him. But it's very important, this date. And yes, Tim is at full Social Security age. And why are you getting a check on the 1st? It's got very specific parameters. Now, maybe he falls into that really one only category, but it's going to be interesting.
Stuff you can't avoid. TGIF, baby, we're here at Planet Fitness. I hope you guys all have a good day. We're going to wear you out today. It's Friday. I'm excited. I'm happy.
Friday. So we're confirming Friday, May 1st, 2026.
Happy. Let's get out there and crush it.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So let's take a look. Again, we know this was, he's talking about Friday. It's May 1st, 580 views. Okay. Let's go to Tim's channel real fast. Let's look up if he's got anything about Social Security, just to show what he says he makes, or, sort of his claims on it. Because obviously, this is the big one that he had. Collecting Social Security at 62. There's a special rule that nobody talks about. Good news. We know at the time when Tim was 62, roughly 5 years ago, that he had probably a time when he was having very little to no income, except through, actually, he was probably doing pretty well with unemployment and the PPP loans that he was receiving. And then after that, those monies started to come to an end. And fortunately for Tim, it corresponded with his Social Security age. Now, Tim has always talked about the fact he is receiving full Social Security, that he is getting $1,800 a month. He's got lots and lots of videos around Social Security, telling people to take it early. The most recent he had was here. I don't know if he mentions in this specific video whether or not he is getting a certain amount of money here. But he always stated that he was getting around $1,800. So he always talks about getting early Social Security and tries to make that the core of his brand. Now, I have questions about that. So here is the schedule for Social Security as it came out today. And as I said, I cannot claim to have known this. This was pointed out to me. Let me see if I can make me nice and small so this can take up as much room as possible. So if you take a look today, this is the 2026 benefit schedule for Social Security. Let's get here into the month of May. Now, it has two things circle around it. It has this square, and then it has a sort of tan colored circle. And then if we get to here, we'll see. Now, this is if you received supplemental security income. That's why you would receive a check on the 1st. Not your standard Social Security check, but a supplemental security income. Now, if you received Social Security before May 1997, which obviously Tim did not start receiving his until he was 62, and he was 68 this year. So he received his sometime. Oh God, was it 2020? Was he 62? I think it was right at the end of 2020, wasn't it? Yes, right at the end of 2020. Oh, my Lord. Something like that, wasn't it? Because he was born in December the 29th, 1958. Don't come after me for my math. I've got Tim math going. So, but that is important to know. So, yes, he was 67 on the 2025. He was 67. So it was 2020. So that's important to know. So that did not happen for Tim. That was some years old. Or if receiving both Social Security and supplemental security income, and then you have Social Security is then paid on the 3rd, and then you have a supplemental security income on the 1st. So your check is actually divided into 2. And we've never said or heard, I believe, from Sarasota Tim that he is receiving separate checks from Social Security in the month. So I'm sure if we looked back potentially at dates where he says that he's received Social Security and we coincided with these particular tan colored dots, it could correspond with the times like, Wednesday, April the 1st, that Tim is receiving not a standard Social Security check. Because if he were, he would be getting it on the 3rd of the month, but he could have gotten it today all combined because the 3rd is a Sunday. So this is the one time he could have gotten it combined if he has that split of Social Security and supplemental security income, which I don't know if Tim really falls for both of those, considering that he worked door to door with his oil change coupon business. And so if he were to get a standard benefits, they are paid on a birth date, which would mean since Tim's birthday is December the 29th, he would be getting his on the 4th Wednesday of the month. So he would be getting his on the 27th of May, not the 1st of May. So there's something, and then the rest of it would, he could have, but here. So there's something, and then here in April, he would have had a check on the 1st, and then a check on Friday the 3rd. So he would have had his check at 2 times if he were getting the Social Security with the supplemental security income. So we've always questioned, and he's saying he gets it on the 1st. So it's interesting. He's somehow getting the supplemental security income. It's the only way that this would have fallen on the 1st. Now, from what I understand, so we know he wasn't getting it on the before 1997. And so why is he getting it 26 days earlier than what he should be getting? And, to get $1,800 and take a 28.3% cut for somebody who said that times he just got a couple of hundos in his pocket and tried to claim as little as he could on his taxes, and therefore that would have gone to Social Security, how he would have got $1,800 at 62. It makes no sense. He would have been having to make, $80,000 to $100,000 for 35 years or whatever the equivalent was. It's just like the dates are just kind of not making absolutely any sense at all. I mean, this is what I know. Put it down in the chat, what date you get yours, if it's based on a birthday, if you do get Social Security. Okay, so that's the schedule. I'm going to show over here. Okay, so this is what's known as the maximum federal supplemental security income. And he's really been pushing out for his YouTube ads to be watched for 30 seconds. He's been really looking for that. And if you've got this far, make sure to hit the likes for me too. Hold on, let me take this off my face. I just realized I've got my like and subscribe over my face. I haven't even realized that. Okay. Not that it matters. But this information does matter. Okay. So with the cost of living increases that apply to Social Security benefits, the latest such increases were 2.8%, which became effective on January the 26th. For supplemental security income, that's what's known as SSI, the maximum federal amounts were $994 for an eligible individual and $149 if it were with a spouse. And then what they call an essential person is $498. I didn't even look at that. Okay. So they say in general, monthly amounts for the next year are determined by increasing the unrounded annual amounts for the current year by the COLA, the cost of living adjustments effective for January of the next year. The new unrounded amounts are then divided by 12, and the resulting amounts are rounded down to the next lower multiple of $1. They don't round up, they round down. Classic. Okay, so can't even give you 195. They give you 194. Okay, and then payment reduction. The monthly amount is reduced by subtracting monthly countable income. You got to think about Tim's YouTube income. How could he be getting any Social Security? In the case of eligible, unless he writes or doesn't claim, but you have to. YouTube sends these schedules in. In the case of an eligible individual with an eligible spouse. Okay, so let's take a look at that. First, let's go to the Social Security from, and I'll make sure to link all these down below, from USA Today. And this actually, I think, came out today. Yes. When to expect your Social Security payment for May. See schedule. And then we're going to go back to how this thing is calculated, which I'm like, wow, you need an accountant. So the Social Security payments in May follow a normal schedule with the first payments hitting on May 13th. May 13th? Well, first payments? What are you talking about, Tim? You said you got your payment today. Why are you getting yours on May 1st when this article is clearly stating that the first payment, if it's following the normal schedule and you're somebody who's always claimed that you took early Social Security and you get all this money because you must have been such a high earner, how is this possible? There's no way you were getting it before 1997. I don't think you're registered blind, which would be, a disability that potentially could get you these types of payments. I don't think you've got to combine Social Security with an SSI because they start to calculate like the difference between the dollars. And so it's a very low amount still. So we'll take a look at the reasons why somebody gets supplemental in a moment. Social Security payments in May follow a normal schedule with the first payments hitting on May 13th. Social Security benefits paid mostly to recipients who are older or retired typically go out on Wednesdays, so not a Friday. On the second Wednesday of the month, payments are issued for beneficiaries whose birthdays fall between the 1st and the 10th of the month. For May, that's May 13th, according to the Social Security Administration's calendar. Recipients born between the 11th and the 20th get paid on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, May 20th, and those born after the 20th of the month are paid on the 4th Wednesday of the month, May 27th, according to the Social Security calendar. And I'll show you in a moment where Sarasota Tim celebrated his birthday on December the 29th, 2025, and reached full Social Security age. Social Security recipients who began getting benefits before May 1997 are scheduled to be paid on Friday, May 1st, or those who are getting supplemental security income, as we saw, or a combination of Social Security and supplemental security income. But I don't think Tim was getting his before May 1997. Okay, so that was a very quick one. Here we are. They just keep talking about the benefits calendars here that we saw, what's changing. So again, just highlighting the dates. Tim would have been much later in May, getting something from Social Security. This is the checks here. Here are the dates for supplemental security income payments according to the Social Security calendar. So these are specifically the supplemental security. That is the first, the Friday, the July 1st, Wednesday, July 1st, Friday, July 1st, maybe because the Saturday, that's my birthday. I'm just throwing out. Okay, so the calendar showing all of these Social Security payment for schedule again. They're showing here. This is this dark one are these folks who are born before 1997 or recipients of both Social Security and supplemental security income. And then your Social Security is paid on the 3rd and the SSI on the 1st, except for this month. Obviously, the two would fall on the same date because the 3rd is a weekend. So they fall here. So is Tim getting a combination of the two? But usually they would be something paid separately. Or is he just getting the SSI? That is my question. Drop me in the comments below. What do you think at this point? Okay, so why would somebody get SSI? Why would this happen? Okay, so let's see who can get SSI. Those who can get SSI, and we'll try to round this up as quick as possible. Oh, I did want to show Tim's birthday. Hold on, because I do want to show that he did recently, just in case people are new to the channel. All right. Oh, I think we just saw it, didn't we? Maybe we just saw it. I know he recently said about his birthday. Hold on. I saw it recently. I saw it linked. Here we go. All right. Okay, so here we have, this is the morning chat. Happy birthday, Sarasota Tim, hashtag 67. This was on December the 29th, so I did want to show that is his birth date. I'm not making this up. Okay, I got to share my screen to make sure I have audio on that. Hopefully you guys can hear me though. Do I have audio? Let me just double check. Yeah, I've got audio. I got audio. Yes, I have audio. I'm not playing Tim, so that's okay, but he disconnected. So here's the birthday. That's just to show you if he were getting his regular Social Security. Let's see, does he talk about anything about his Social Security in here at all? He obviously talks about his birthday, his routine, doesn't talk about the Social Security. Okay, so that technically, if he had retired, as they say now, that would have been his full retirement age. So at this age, he wouldn't be having any of the things around his income as much. Okay, so let's get back over to who can get SSI, because this is interesting. So adults and children who might be eligible for SSI are those with little or no income and little or no resources and a disability, blindness, or are age 65 or older. Tim has always spoken about getting, as you saw, Social Security at 62. So you have little or no income, like wages and Social Security benefits. SSI is generally for individuals, that's supplemental security income, for individuals who don't earn more than $2,073 from work each month. So Tim always talks about that, $2,000, which is interesting. I just need to get $2,000, he always says. The income limit increases for couples and when parents apply for children. We also look at other sources of income besides your job, like disability benefits, unemployment, and pensions. And obviously, we know Tim has none of these. You have little or no resources, things you own. Common resources are vehicles and money in bank accounts, which Tim is, his situation has changed, but I don't know if he's now, interesting. It's not a standard Social Security because it's not paid on his birthday. So it's something different. Common resources are vehicles and money in bank accounts. And at the time when he applied, I don't think he had much of anything because he did not have the EIDL because that did not come until 2021. Your resources should not be more than $2,000 for individuals. He's not with Tammy as a couple. If you're a parent, he's not a parent. You have a disability or are age 65 or older. If you are age 64 or younger, you must have a disability that affects your ability to work for a year or more, or will result in death, or severely limits daily activities. That's children. If you have a disability, you'll also need to prove you've earned less than $1,690 from work per month in the month applying. Citizens age 65 or older, you don't need to have a disability to get SSI. So, how would he have been able to have received it at 62? This is very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, exceptions to this. Some of what you make or own won't count towards your limits. For SSI, income is money you get, such as wages, Social Security benefits, and pensions. Income can also include food and housing. Resources are things that you own that have value, such as a second vehicle or money in a bank account. Income limit exceptions. Generally, things that don't count towards your income limit include state SSI supplement payments, SNAP programs, Section 8 housing, rent rebates, all these different things. Resource limit exceptions. Generally, things that don't count towards your resource limit include your home and land it's on as long as you live there, one vehicle per household, most personal belongings and household goods, properties you can't use or sell. Well, Tim uses and sells everything. How much could you get from this? Well, the maximum monthly of SSI in 2026 is $994 for an individual, and the amount may be lowered based on your income, obviously family members, living situation, other factors. How income affects your payment. For every $2 you earn from work, we reduce your SSI payment by about $1. Work includes a job, self-employment, any activity that earns money, i.e. YouTube. For every $1 you get from non-work sources, we reduce your SSI by $1. Non-work sources include. There was a time his buy me a coffee would have outweighed the SSI. Disability benefits, unemployment payments, pensions. Okay, children living with others. If you live in somebody else's home and you don't pay your fair share of food and shelter costs, your SSI payment may be lowered by up to $351.33. Extra support from the state. Some states offer an extra payment supplement to help with food and shelter. Interesting. So your reporting responsibilities. So if you change your wages, you have to keep reporting this. Living situation, all of these. I'm just curious what he's getting. He just has to go in here and sign in and do your little reports. Changes in your situation, programs to get more help. So I am just so curious as to how is Tim having a payment made today on the Social Security schedule? How is this happening? How did this happen? I don't know. I'm really baffled and confused, everybody. This is something I'm trying to investigate a little bit more about. Sorry it got a little bit long and the investigation. I obviously am not a Social Security expert, and this is not Social Security advice or any type of legal advice or financial or anything. Sorry, legal. Got so many legal things going on. If you did happen to like this type of comment and did want to help a little bit with the community, you can always donate to my buy me a coffee. That helps with my legal expenses at the moment. And also, if you hey,
No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have this dry bacon. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
Yeah. Hey, you got a dry bag. And if you did happen to like, I'm going to dry bag some more. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that hype button. You guys have been awesome about hitting the hype button. So yeah, I'm really intrigued about this Social Security and what is going on. How are you saying $1,800? Is that just him doubling up the $994? Like the $900, he just doubles up to $1,800? How would you get 1,800 early? How are you not then getting it paid on the schedule for your birth date, which would be at the end of May? This has got so many questions that I cannot understand. But Tim has a way of just giving himself away sometimes without realizing, because he's not that bright about things. Doesn't cover his story very well. We all know he just regurgitated something, but the amount of money, I think that's why he's really going to have to work for his channel. He has a lot of different lawsuits happening at this time that could significantly cost him money. And if you did get this far, make sure to leave me a picture of a check down below. They must still have like a paper check emoji available. I'm very emoji unsavvy, so I just don't know sometimes. But if there is a check, I would love to get a check, like a Social Security check. Because Tim says he got his check today, and the Social Security Administration says it's if you started receiving them in 1997, you get supplemental security income, or you get Social Security with supplemental security income, which means that you'd still be getting $994 or something, because they have to top up what was so low in your Social Security. So if his regular Social Security kicked in and he's getting those, is he getting 2 checks a month? Has he ever said that? I'm curious. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Catch up soon. Bye.
Life and Vibe, thanks so much. My queen, my Sarasota Tim expert.